and welcome to another episode of The Feminine Frequency. So glad to be back. And today we have a very special guest, Jenna Zell, who is the owner of Jenna Zell Energy Healing in Saugus, Massachusetts, very close to me. Hi, Jenna, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me on this show. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. It's been so nice knowing you. We've known each other for I think a little over a year now, something
Yes,
along
I
those
can't
lines.
believe it's been that long.
I know, me neither. Time
Yeah.
flies. Time flies.
Oh,
But you have,
definitely.
yeah, and you have the work you do is so interesting. You do energy healing, you do Qigong, you facilitate meditation, you work with singing bowls, you have a wide array of like holistic services that you provide. And in your studio, you also have other facilitators too.
Yes.
Just so exciting. And I just love seeing you grow and love, just following your journey. It's really
Thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate that. Yeah. The new women just came into the studio last month. Selena facilitates children's yoga and
Cool.
Kelly does Reiki and health coaching. So it's
Oh,
so
that's
nice to
great.
have these different services now offered out of the studio. I feel so grateful to have them there as well.
Yeah, it's
Bring in the
awesome.
energy.
That's right.
Yes.
And just have that resource in a nearby community the way you do. It's just so accessible and great for families. So, yeah,
Mhm.
thank you for your
Yeah,
for your
thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I'd love to just kind of start out today by asking you to share a little bit about your journey and how you got here and why you do what you do, because I know that the listeners will find that really interesting.
Yeah, where to begin? It's been quite the ride. I'll start with that. It wasn't always easy, and I will say, like, it's still not necessarily easy, but I do feel like I'm more in a flow. And it's taken me like 36 years to get here, to kind of get in that flow of life. And just for a long time, felt like I was like swimming against the grain. That's
Mm-hmm.
not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with like growing up, my parents got divorced when I was about 12, and it kind of like stirred up some chaos in my house, and I had depression issues. And I think I didn't realize now, like looking back, I realized I know that I'm super sensitive to energy and
Yeah.
these shift in dynamics. And they quickly both got remarried, and I went on medication for depression, but um I had been on that medication for depression for about 20 years after, from 12 to, yeah, in my late 20s. Um,
Wow.
so it was definitely a struggle. I found myself in active addiction around 24 and just in a really dark place in my life. And the sad part is also looking back, I had no idea about like my spirit. Like I wasn't taking care of my spirit at all. I didn't even consider my spirit. It was just
Yeah.
like doing the mainstream thing, like in college, trying to push to get married. Like I was engaged at the time. Like I just wanted to like do what I thought was the next right thing. But I was so unhappy inside. I truly felt like I was like dying inside. Um,
Mm,
the light in me was like gone. I was just going through the motions of life. And what a sad way to live, to just feel like you're just taking the next step into the next one. Like I was missing the whole point of it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I was at so around in my early 20s, I was addicted to opiates, and I felt I was in such a bad place. I had to move back home. I broke off my engagement. I was living in Seattle at the time. Um
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I travel. I also did this thing where I was like running from myself. Like I would move to try to change. I would try to change the like external circumstances to make myself feel better, but just
Right.
kind of run away. And so I had to go to rehab. I went to a rehab. It actually ended up shutting down the day I was finished at the rehab. So
Wow.
like crazy. But
Yeah.
it was more like an ashram, like a spiritual center. And I learned there about like taking care of
Hmm.
my spirit. And I had a few like awakenings where I realized how sensitive I was to energy. Like I could, for instance, we were doing something similar to Qigong, which is like mindful movement. And I could like sense the girl's energy next to me. And my head was like, she's so sad. She's so sad. And when we held hands to do a meditation after, my hand started like vibrating and her energy came into my body and it threw me into a panic attack.
Oh, wow.
So I realized like that was my first kind of like, what's going on? Like, this is crazy. And realizing like how energy affects us and how we take on others' energy and like, but I didn't know what to do about it. So it still was years after that experience that like learning tools and skills to like learn how to set boundaries and deal with others' energy as well as my own.
Yeah, first you had to have the awareness
Yes.
that it was even happening, right? Before you could do anything about it.
Yes, definitely.
And was
Um,
that in your like mid 20s? What time?
yes,
Okay.
my
Okay.
mid 20s. So from there, I started like researching all about this. I kind of took like a different direction. Like turned my life in a different direction at this point. I found the International College of Medical Qigong, which was in California at the time. I moved out to California and started attending that school for Qigong. And
Mm,
I feel I would take like a few steps forward and then a step back. Like I couldn't get my addiction fully under control. Like I knew that there was this like better way of life, but I
yeah.
still hadn't fully like got my feet on the ground. Um, so
Yeah.
I moved out to California and I started attending that school. Um, in the interim of all of this, my fiance, who I was in Seattle with, ended
Mm-hmm.
up passing away, which was a huge hit.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was a big, and that was another big like awakening for me. And that's what actually when I moved to, I needed family support around me, so I moved to Boston with my dad.
okay.
And
Yeah. Good move.
yeah, and
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
still here. I've been here now about 10 years. Um,
Okay. So did you drop out of that college or did you get,
I did. I did end up
okay.
dropping out of that college. I still, it was like still, I was learning, but I still needed like my own healing as well. I think we
Yeah.
always need our own healing, you know, but
Yeah.
I just wasn't fully ready. But I did end up going back to,
Okay.
so I did finish the program later on in my later years.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's been, like I said, like quite the journey of like ups and downs. And I think that's life though, you know, like just there's always stuff that comes to you and it's just like moving through that fear and moving through the chaos and just continuing to work on what you need to work on to heal and better your life.
yeah, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you actually found out pretty early, about this energy healing modality and the way the energy works, earlier than I did in life anyway. So I'm so glad that that happened, that you had that experience. It's obviously, part of your life path to uncover that. And now here you are helping others,
I
right?
think
Through.
it was like divine timing. I also feel like this work for me, like even going to the studio, I feel so fortunate because it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a calling, like a higher, there's like a higher purpose involved in what I'm doing. You know, it's not just
Yeah.
like going to do, it's like truly like this saved my life. So I feel like it's like that important to be able to share that gift with others as well, you know?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. So, how would you say that it saved your life? Like, just because like, yeah, just in your own words, like, how do you feel that that happened?
I feel like with the active addiction, like I don't think unless I had this like awakening, I think I would have just continued down that path because I couldn't live in this like mainstream life, like just doing what I thought was the next right thing. I felt truly, it felt like it was like killing my spirit. But I
Yeah.
think in the bigger picture, there was like I had like a bigger purpose, you know? Like I was always supposed to be doing this stuff, doing what I'm doing now. So I had to like hit that bottom to be able
Mm-hmm.
to do what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like help
Makes
others
sense to
along
me.
that path as well. Yeah. So I'm grateful for every part of it. It's not like I feel, you know, I'm grateful to be through it for sure too. It wasn't easy, but there was a purpose in it.
Yeah. And that makes all the difference, right?
Yeah.
You can feel like there's a purpose in the pain that you endured. It's like, okay, that gives it meaning. It wasn't for nothing that you had to suffer that. Like now you've alchemized that, transmuted that into something really beautiful.
Yes,
So,
exactly. There's always like you can always, I feel like you can look at pain and feel either like a victim of it, or you
hmm
can transmute it and make something beautiful from it. And I
hmm
really do. I mean, of course, when you initially feel it, there's times where you have to sit with it for a little while, but you can work through it and transmute it and create something amazing from it, I feel. Pain, someone told me one time, I think this is so true. Pain will make you move either forward or back. Like it's gonna make you move though.
That's true. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you're just feeling good all the time, you're gonna become complacent, right? And comfortable. There's no reason to really change or move. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
pain can be very transformative.
Yes, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
and I still do like the healing work today. I mean, I just went to Mexico. We've discussed this before, but I went to Mexico to do
Yeah.
plant medicine for the first time, and that was life-changing as well.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Are
So
you
it
still integrating that for yourself? Because I know it was pretty intense.
Yeah, so it was iBegame, and it's a 3 to 4 month like post integration period. So I am about 2.5 months out from the experience, and it's getting easier as I've learned to like speak up and speak my truth. Things are just like flowing now. Like the my business is flowing. As I become like stronger in myself and my awareness and like what I want, it just feels like things are going in a good direction. It's getting easier.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great effect that it had on, on your real life, not just your consciousness and your awareness, but your actual business and your daily life. That's great.
Yeah. It was life changing for sure. It's all these little
Amazing.
steps, but I feel like it's my responsibility. Like, if I'm doing this work with other people, like,
Yeah,
I have to do it with myself too, to make sure that I'm like clear and like a clear channel and like healing myself.
absolutely. And I'm curious, like, since you've been in business now for what, is it a year or so?
I've had the studio for a year.
Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm really curious, like, because I feel like, and let me know how you feel, but energy healing is still fairly kind of alternative, right? It's not, although they do Reiki in the Children's Hospital and some other hospitals, I believe, but
Mhm.
it's still kind of under the radar. Not everybody is aware of it. Not everybody believes in it. So it's not as mainstream, right, as like Western medicine. So I'm just curious, like, does that become an issue for you, or are you finding that you're, bringing awareness to the community, or people seeking you out because they've already heard about energy healing, or kind of how does that show up in your business?
I find like a little bit of both right now. Mostly, I feel like I really feel like the vibration of the world is kind of shifting, and it's more people that like seek me out, have found me online, or I go put on events through different companies as well. So if they like, people will be drawn to your energy too, just who you are. And
Mhm.
they'll find you that way. Yeah, a little bit of both, but mostly there's definitely more so people with like an awareness around what they're coming to do and stuff, I find.
Great. So
Yeah.
like, the word is getting out.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
like facilitating the meditations helps because that's more of like a mainstream thing. People
There
are
you
more
go.
aware
Yeah.
of meditation and they feel more comfortable with it than like coming for a medical Qigong session and like clearing out the energy of your organs. So it would be, it's a
Right.
little bit like that's like a great intro for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So just little by little, expanding. But I do
Yeah.
find that there's definitely more awareness. It's as the years go on, there's definitely more and more awareness around these practices. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm so grateful for that because I think it's so important, as you know, I also am an energy practitioner and I just think that I love when, people like yourself are out there doing this business and talking about it and being vocal about it and, just being a light in the world because the more people that are aware of energy healing, the more that they can, and these other, practices that you offer, the more that they can tend to their spirit, right? Because I think there are so many people that are walking around like you were and like I was not
Mhm.
really tending to their energy or their spirit, and therefore, suffering in so many different ways, emotionally, mentally, physically, because that spiritual essence is just being neglected.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. It's so sad to see. Like I can't imagine going through the rest of my life and just feeling like, I guess in a sense, I've come to like believe that the whole point, that the reason why we're here on this planet is to like grow our spirit and like learn lessons and like take care of our spirit and share those gifts with others. So to neglect that, it's kind of pointless. It all seems so pointless to me,
Yeah,
in the big scheme of
definitely.
things. But I'm like a big picture thinker usually as well. So I know people like, I always think like, why like these big existential questions I ask myself a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Some of it which we'll never know, which is okay.
Right. Some of it's
Yeah.
meant to be a mystery, I
Yes.
think. Yeah. Awesome. Well, to kind of shift gears a little bit, I would love to talk a little more on the topic of money and
Okay.
because that was something we were discussing the other day. And I think that it's important to have that conversation too, because um, as spiritual practitioners and business owners, a lot of times we can sort of, how do I say, like um, maybe be too focused on the spiritual side of things and not,
Oh,
and maybe
definitely.
neglect the the physical and the financial and the structural elements of our lives. So it's important to have that balance, right? Ultimately,
Oh,
not to,
definitely. And you
yeah.
mentioned when we talked last time, just the two of us, you mentioned you were doing, what were you you're working in finances right now as well, right? And I
Yeah.
love
So
that you have that. Like we were talking about how empowering that is to be able to do that work and like see those numbers and like not be afraid of that.
yes.
Because there's
Yeah.
a lot, I know for me, there's been a lot of fear-based thinking around money. And I'll briefly share my financial story. Um,
Yeah, please.
so I grew up with a upper middle class family, and my mom, was set to inherit a lot of money, and she ends up inheriting about $15 million, and within a span of 5 years, spent it all, lost it. And we talked about previously as well, like, you know, I could turn around and be like upset or feel bad about that. But I feel like looking again from like a bigger picture perspective, like her energy, you have to have your energy has to be able to hold that abundance, that kind of abundance. And if you can't hold it, it feels so uncomfortable that you just have to get rid of it, you know?
Mm.
That's why again, like bringing it back to like this healing work is so important because we want things in life. We want, of course, we're not meant to, I don't believe we were put here to suffer. Like we should be in a flow and things should come easily, but you have to like get through that healing work to be able to hold that kind of abundance, to be able to hold these material things and feel comfortable with it and worthy. I notice with a lot of clients, like there's a lack of like feeling worthy.
Yeah. And I think fear of success is a really real thing, you know? Sometimes, I mean, there's actually a saying in Buddhism about like with every desire, there also comes a fear. They really go, hand in hand, because when we get something we really truly desire, it will change our life, right? It'll be like breaking out of what's familiar into something new.
Mhm.
Whether that's abundance or success in our career or what have you, a great relationship, like it's going to take us to our next level. So it's always going to feel a little scary too, right? Because
Yes.
we're to evolve in ourselves. We're going to have to become someone new as we're birthing this new reality for ourselves. So, um, I think that, even with money, like, yeah, a lot of people desire more money, but they also might be kind of subconsciously afraid of having more money. Maybe because,
Absolutely.
one of the fears I think could be like it could slip through your fingers, right? You could get all of this money, 15 million, that's a fortune.
Yeah.
It can also go really quick if you're not prepared and not careful.
Yeah. And we talked, like I mentioned too, like I think also there's a difference. I've seen the difference personally, like being handed money and earning it. Like it feels this is such a gift to be able to like earn money in the way that you feel like you're helping the world and like doing the work. It feels so good and empowering to be able to like know that you can go out there and like make a difference and still earn a living for yourself.
Yes.
But I had to have, and this shift for me happened after Mexico, after the Ibogaine. Like I had to have this shift in like perspective and like a big shift in like personal power and feeling
Mm,
like what I do is like worth what I'm receiving, you know? So it's definitely been a learning experience and learning curve, but it's coming. It's just little by little, you know?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why money is an interesting topic and like the
Hmm.
spirituality of money, and because it is very much related to power, right? In our
Yeah.
world, like you can't really escape that connection. So we're talking about personal empowerment, which is again one of my favorite topics too, especially like women's empowerment and things like that. It's like you can't really avoid the conversation around money because it's hard to really be empowered if you're broke, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a way to do that. There's a way to grow out of that experience of being broke and you know, discovering your own inner abundance
Mm,
and your value as a person. But also, ultimately, if you want freedom, if you want independence, if you want to make an impact in the world, it's really helpful to be able to have money or earn money or tap
yes,
into money somehow. So it's a
absolutely.
conversation.
It's so necessary.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for a lot of like history, healers and light workers and so forth have maybe not had that source of empowerment. They've had the spiritual empowerment, but they haven't necessarily had the manifestation of physical abundance. So it's held them back. It's held us back as a community, which might be why the world is in the shape that it's in.
Yes, absolutely. It's very true. I think just feeling like I think too, like I noticed for myself, like my own energy tends to be a little bit more top heavy, like my crown and my third eye because of the work I do. So to actually be able to ground your energy and bring these thoughts and manifestations into the physical can be a little challenging when you do this work. So it's about like learning how to balance that and those energies as well, and being able to actually produce like the physical.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Do you know what your mom spent that money on? That's a lot
Yes.
of money to
So
spend.
yeah, she did. Yeah. So she, we've always had a very weird mother-daughter like dynamic. Like she's been kind of competitive, and she actually spent the money trying to feel empowered. So she
No
built
way.
a video game for it's very a spiritual video game for children.
Oh my goodness.
Um, to like teach them about Qigong. Like she was kind of trying to like compete with me to become like to do something. If that does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
but I think it's so interesting because my mom like kind of lives in like a false reality, and she physically created a false reality and went broke doing so.
Wow.
So it's like another like a bigger picture, like, you know, like she couldn't ground herself. I think again, like we talk about like
That's mind-blowing.
the way you receive the money as well. Like there's no empowerment in being handed that money. And she wanted to
Right.
feel empowered. So she
Right.
wanted to create like something
Mm-hmm.
to feel something, you know?
That is just such a wild story.
Yeah, she wanted to feel like because it's really because at the end of the day, there's you that feeling that you get, and I know now from like earning it myself, you can't that feeling you can't just buy, you can't just be handed that feeling.
No. Yeah. Because again, like you said, you're still in that energy of scarcity.
She was like trying to like buy success.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a big price to pay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did that impact her? Did she grow from it or did it put her into more of a
So
depressed
during
state?
my Ibogaine trip, I actually saw my grandfather who earned the money.
Mhm.
Um, and I hugged him and I said to him, like, Grandpa, Mom spent all the money, like it's gone. And he pointed to her. So I saw her. This is all like it's a trip. So like in my mind's eye. He
Yeah.
pointed to her and said, "But look, Jenna, she's so sick and like spiritually, she's not in like a good place. Because she's not looking, she's looking for like outside of herself,
Yeah.
like these things. And it's like this doesn't come from outside of you. It's all about inside. It's not about like the image and the public perception of like the
Right.
way people, it's about inside of you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's lost like family, money, her like it's a more in depth than I can even we'd have to not take another hour. But
Yeah. Oh
it's been a lot. Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, it's but the reality she's created is one in which she feels like almost like a celebrity in her head.
Okay.
So she believes, and everyone else is wrong. Like her brother, sister, her whole family, everyone's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Okay.
sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
And I hope, I pray for her sake that one day she comes to the realization like that the important things like the family and the love, like that's what's important,
Right.
not
Yeah.
the,
Money,
yeah.
money doesn't validate your
Yeah.
worth, right? It's the
No.
other way around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So been a lot of lessons learned. But it's all to, I feel like ultimately I look at it as like how beautiful is it that my sons will get to see me. I have two little sons as well, 4 and 1, that they're
Mhm.
gonna see me grow something and build a business and like succeed, that they get to watch me do that.
And doing what you love.
Yes.
That's so beautiful.
Yes.
Do you share your kind of spiritual gifts and practices and journey with your family, with your kids?
Oh, yes.
Love
My son and I, my
it.
4-year-old and I do meditation together. Like
Awesome.
before bed, he'll lay there and he's like, Mama, can you do a meditation for me? Um, and he knows that I do the energy work and we talk to the angels together. So yeah, I mean my 1-year-old is like a little angel himself. He's like still he's like clueless. But I will be sharing. Yeah, they will be, they know, they're very aware because I feel like I wish I would have been aware. This stuff wasn't as like openly talked about when I was growing up anyway.
Yeah.
I want my kids to know, that they have a spirit that they need to care for. That's so important.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I just love this conversation too, because I feel like we tend to, and when I say we, I mean like our society as a whole tends to
Yes.
like compartmentalize these things. Like, okay, we've got financial services over here, we've got, spiritual work over here, we've got, our physical health over here, right? And it's like they're completely separate, right? But I so believe that they're all very much interconnected. I think our financial health affects our entire well-being,
Oh, absolutely.
and our spiritual health can affect our financial health, right? And vice versa. So it's like I love just kind of like finding the synergy and the interconnecting points, and um like we get to be all of that and have all of that. We don't have to choose which, whether we are rich or spiritual, right? Or
Yes.
have a great body or are spiritual or any of that. Like we get to have all of it, right? All
Yes,
the kinds of.
absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's so true. I think like I my personal belief is like it all stems from our energy, like what we're putting
Yeah.
out there. Because I know I can tell you like the shift that happened after the Ibogaine, like I'm still the same person, but my energy was vibrating like differently. And the way money has like been flowing in now is like so much different than the way it was before. So, but it was a shift in
Here.
my energy had to happen.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
like it's easier. It doesn't feel like a.
Yes. It is like I can't even explain it. And I think I had to experience that as well to help other people. I can literally feel like my solar plexus energy, like my self-worth and self-esteem, like shifted and cleared.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Do you think you'll ever offer that kind of healing to people or?
Oh, like the Ibogaine, the plant
Yeah.
medicine?
Yeah.
Yes, I've thought about that in definitely down the line. I mean, it's not legal here in the US yet. They're
Okay.
talking about it. They're doing studies with Stanford right now. I would love to do something like that and offer that.
Wow.
But right now, I think what I'm doing with the Qigong and the Reiki and stuff is helpful. But I would love to eventually get to that point of like having a retreat center and really like diving deep.
Mm,
I think that Ibogaine itself is gonna like become more well known, down the line too. It's already kind of being like researched and used a lot for like PTSD for veterans and things like that. So yeah,
great. Yeah, I'd never heard of it before you told me about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Sounds really powerful.
Mhm, it was.
So, um, I would love to just kind of like as we wrap things up, just what would you share to someone who's maybe never tried energy healing, for example, or Qigong? Like, what would be a reason that they may want to try it out?
I think, especially with the energy work and the Qigong, there's like nothing to lose to give it a shot. I think it's really good if you're feeling stuck or like
Mm,
complacent, not happy. Um, it will spark something in you and help you shift for sure.
mm,
I've seen it with my clients. It's because it's like a physical shift, like a subconscious shift. It it like has to happen versus like when you talk about things sometimes it's through like you're not necessarily like grounding it into your body. Like energy work helps ground things into your body so that you're actually making the shifts.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's
Yeah.
not just your thinking mind, it goes beyond
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
working with your spirit. So it's so deep.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. highly recommend for
Yes,
anyone new to
absolutely.
energy healing, or even if you've tried other kinds, this is such profound work. So, yeah. Um, and what's the best way for people to find you, or do you have any events coming up that people could check out?
I currently don't have any like big events. I'm doing midweek meditations. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. You can come
Okay.
check out the studio. We are doing an open house. It is June 21st. Let me just double check on that. Um, yep, June 21st at 11 to 2. Free event to just come see the studio and meet the other women there. We're doing food, drinks, and raffling off sessions and gift baskets as well. So that's going to be exciting. And you can find me at jennazell.com.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect. And I'll put that in the show notes, obviously.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, of course. I just am so excited for you and everything you're doing. And thank you so much for sharing so bravely about your
Thank
journey.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it
I
makes such a
appreciate that.
difference. Yeah, it's so inspiring. So really, really
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, anytime. And I can't wait to come by the studio soon as well and see it in
Yes,
person.
anytime.
Thank you. Awesome, Jenna. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we'll see you next time on another episode of The Feminine Frequency.